All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm going to wait a little bit as people join. Essentially, today we are talking about podcast repurposing, webinar repurposing, and getting the most out of those long form content episodes that you create. So with that being said, I would love to hear.
All right, we are live. Hello, everyone.
Looks like I'm listening myself right now because I'm also logged into LinkedIn. So, all right, we're fixing it. First of all, does anyone out there have a podcast or a webinar of their own? I would love for you to just comment a link below and hear about it. Really, if you're here, the reason is probably because you host a podcast, you're an entrepreneur, you're a marketer, you create long form content in order to spread your message, build authority in your industry, network, have conversations with really interesting people, and ultimately drive results for your business, right? So that's the reason why I create podcasts. That's the reason why I live stream, right? And that's why I'm doing this right now, is to educate the audience on LinkedIn. That's you. So that I can build trust and hopefully help you out kind of on your journey a little bit. So yeah, if anyone wants to comment their show down below, that would be awesome. If not, I'm going to move on. And here's the question though. If you do have a podcast, you're creating webinars, are you maximizing their full potential? Or do you feel like you're just posting them online and they're disappearing into the black hole of the internet? I know all of us have done this at one point or another in our content creation journey. As we post something, we put so much time and effort into it, and it just doesn't get the eyeballs that we need in order for it to make an impact. But the good news here is that you have created a bank of content. If you're a podcaster, if you create webinars, if you create live streams, all of those long form episodes have the opportunity to be turned into additional content. Okay. And I'm actually going to be repurposing this live stream into multiple pieces of content for LinkedIn as well. So that's the good news. You've got all this content and you can bring it a mile further if you just go this extra step of repurposing. So I want to show you an example of what a micro video looks like. Now, the thing is with repurposing, there's a lot of ways to repurpose your long form content. You can create blogs, you can create videos, you could create individual tweets, whatever it may be. But I like to focus on the video aspect because here we're talking about video interviews and webinars. There's a big video component, and that you can retain the initial medium that it's in turn one long form episode into 4 or 5 individual 1-minute videos, just like the one I'm going to play right now. So this is from an interview I did with Chaz Horn, and the topic is, well, I guess you'll see. I'm just going to play it and you'll see an example of one of these micro videos.
What's the benefit of Riverside over Zoom?
Well, the thing you have to realize with Zoom and Google Hangouts is it is built for team meetings and for having back and forth real-time conversation, whereas Riverside is actually really built for remote video recording. So it's built for podcasters. It's built for people who do remote video interviews. And one of the big things features that it has is it'll save the file locally to your computer of each of the participants, the audio and video separately, and then uploads it after. All right, so yeah, you kind of get the point there of the medium. That's about like a 60-second video. And I saw Tyler, hey Tyler, how's it going? Had a comment about the micro content actually performing better than the full episode sometimes. So this is the way I want you to look at micro content. And really, when you repurpose videos from your podcast, these 1-minute videos that I know Tyler does it very well, think of that as standalone content, right? Not the only goal of it shouldn't just to be to promote your podcast or get eyes on your full-length episode, but all this content really can stand alone and do brand building, grow awareness on its own. That video is its own thing. With that being said, I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, thank you, Tyler, for mentioning that. I want to talk a little bit about the format of these videos and how to get the most out of them, how to actually make them valuable instead of just some random clip from your conversation or your webinar, right? You want to be very intentional with the clips that you choose. So that being said, what I recommend is most of these videos are about 30 to 90 seconds. Most of them end up being around 60 seconds. What's important though is that you capture a complete and whole thought or story in these micro videos. So you want to make sure that at the beginning there is a kickoff, right? They mention the context of the conversation. For instance, in that micro video with Chaz, we were talking about what are the benefits of recording with Riverside FM versus recording with Zoom, right? So you immediately knew the context of the conversation, and then we didn't watch to the end of it, but by the end of it, there's a complete thought and you've learned something from the video. So these videos should be a complete thought, complete story, complete insight. It's really important to mention that thought in the headline. So the headline is what appears at the top. And the goal of this headline is you want to say, all right, if you watch this video, this is what you will learn. This is what you will get out of watching this video if you get to the end of it, right? So it's very important not to just list the podcast episode that it's from, or even just the topic, right? If you're in B2B marketing and that's what the topic of the episode is about, don't just put B2B marketing on the top headline. Put what you expect to learn. So for instance, how to create micro videos from podcasts, or should I be recording with Riverside or Zoom, right? So make it very clear, and that's going to make people want to stop scrolling and actually watch. The thing with social media is that there is always another video or another piece of content right beneath yours. So if yours doesn't stand out to some extent, who's going to watch it, right? You really got to make sure that you have an eye-grabbing headline and you give people a reason why they're going to watch. Okay. The next component is captions. These go at the bottom. And here's the thing is most people, when they start scrolling on their feeds, they do not have their audio on. So if you don't have captions on at first, no one's going to know what you're talking about. And it's likely, again, they're going to scroll to that next post. So really important that you have those captions. It does take a little bit more time to add them to your videos, but just creates a more polished product. It also just helps support. Some people are readers, some people are listeners. It makes the videos more accessible and much more engaging. So highly recommend adding captions. And the last part is formatting. You see this interview that I did with Alex B. Sheridan. I could just post the landscape version to LinkedIn and not make it square. Again, if I don't make it square, I'm missing out on space to add a headline, missing out on space to add captions. But also you can format content for specific social media platforms. So Instagram, you're going to want to focus on square if you're posting to the feeds, or on vertical if you're posting to IGTV or to your stories. On LinkedIn, you want to focus on square. Obviously, if you're posting on TikTok, you're going to want to be vertical, right? So changing the formatting allows you to contextualize the content for individual platforms. Now, I mostly focus on LinkedIn, so that's where the majority of my content goes. And the majority of our clients at Authentic also are B2B marketers and consultants that focus on LinkedIn. So the majority of the content we create is square. That's probably the most universal formatting you can use across social media. It works on Twitter as well, works well on Facebook. You can always tweak it and kind of create your own designs, but square is really good and fundamental. So does anyone have any questions about the formatting there and how to optimize that? If not, I'm going to move on to tools we use. So first of all, it starts with a good recording, right? You need to have high quality content to start with. So if you're already recording podcasts, and you're just doing audio, I do highly recommend adding video to that component. And the best way to do that is recording with Riverside FM. It saves the native file to your computer and uploads it throughout the conversation and after. So you're not going to get that spotty Wi-Fi, grainy footage, right? You're going to get a much better end result. Also, Descript is we use Descript after we've downloaded that initial episode, that long 60-minute episode, whatever it may be, and we use Descript to select clips. So what it does is it creates a full transcript of the conversation. We'll read through the podcast or the webinar and pick out those juicy nuggets of information and stories, and create individual clips from that. Descript makes that process super easy. Then from there, we're going to upload that video to rev.com. Rev.com is going to give us really high quality, almost like 99.5% accurate captions that we add to the bottom of the videos. Again, super important for accessibility and just for making more engaging videos. We use Canva to create the branded graphics, so that you really have a nice, unique feel to your videos. And then at the end, we bring it all together in Veed, add the captions, we add a progress bar. So there's 5 different platforms here. Really, I guess in the Riverside is before recording or during recording. Descript, Rev, Canva, and Veed are what we use to create these videos. You might be able to simplify this just by using something like Veed, but then one of the reasons we use Rev is because it's a fully automated captioning service. In Veed, you're going to have to edit a lot of the captions yourself, but Rev actually has a back end of freelancers that go in and make those captions near perfect. So it saves a bunch of time. And then, of course, like we have a pretty complex process here, but you can carve out your own as well. So I'd recommend just experimenting with some of these platforms, seeing how they work. And if you're doing this DIY, then figuring out what works for you in your workflow. It's really important to figure out how to be efficient with this process. But these are the tools we use. We have experimented with so many tools, and over time, these are the ones that we love. I think we'll continue to use as well. So awesome. I have gone through the basics of content repurposing, of creating micro videos. Would love to hear any questions you have, we've gone about 15 minutes or so. I like to try to keep it pretty short and efficient. This will be recorded and uploaded, so you'll be able to watch it at a later date. But yeah, please hit me with some questions if you have any. I'd be happy to answer them in real time. And also, you can always find me on LinkedIn, first of all. Pretty responsive in the DMs if you have questions. I'm an open book. Like, my whole philosophy behind marketing is to kind of expose my secrets and to give out valuable information, right? So at AuthentIQ Marketing, this is essentially the service that we offer, is podcast and content repurposing through video. So we have a ton of experience here. Oops, sorry about that. My Blue Yeti just fell back. But yeah, so we've learned this process in and out. We've been in the weeds with it and learning a ton. I don't mind sharing how you can do this on your own though, because I know it's gonna build trust and make both of us better off, right? So if you have any questions about our done for you service, you can definitely reach out and ask. But I'm also happy to answer questions if you're trying to do this on your own, if you're on a more limited budget, or maybe you just would like to control the process. So awesome. Doesn't look like I have any questions, but this was fun. Tyler, if you're still there, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. And like I said, think of me as a friendly resource, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks.